Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Super Talk. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Super Talk. My name is Jay Gonzalez, and I'm superintendent of schools for HCISD. Excited to be here. I'm with DeMond Wilson, who is the artist in residence at the conservatory, plays a big part in the success of our fine arts program. So really, the Super Talk is to tell stories, because a lot of times as superintendent, I have the honor of meeting great people and learning great stories, but they stay confined to this office. And what the Super Talk does is it opens up my office to the world. And I'm able to share and inspire and utilize stories with the community to move this community forward through the power of learning from others. So DeMond is here to really tell my story, because I've had the opportunity to meet people at the chamber and the EDC and across the city and key community members, but I haven't had the opportunity to share my story with the community as a whole. So DeMond, thank you for being here. I appreciate you very much, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you.
Well, first of all, I want to tell you that it is an absolute honor for me to be a part of this, to be especially a part of launching the Super Talk here in HCISD. It is an incredible honor for us to have a real deal glimpse into who our leader is and where we're headed as a district, and in interviewing people in the community and all of the amazing innovative ideas that you are going to be bringing to us. So for me to be sitting in the co-pilot seat with you, I'm absolutely honored, and I'm ready to rock and roll with this great conversation that we're about to have. One of the questions that I wanted to ask you, I'm thought about what would the community want to know most about you? So I think one of the first things is as a kid, did you ever see yourself here as superintendent with all of the responsibilities that you have? Did you imagine that as a kid, or what did you see for yourself?
Well, as a kid, I grew up in Hebronville, Texas, and Hebronville, Texas is a small ranching community. It's about 2.5 hours north of the valley. And fun fact about Hebronville, there's 4,000 people in the community, but there's 6 practicing superintendents in the state of Texas from Hebronville right now. I'm very proud of that.
Wow.
So as a kid, I was one of the lucky ones. I had a wonderful family. My dad was a lifelong educator for Jim Hall County ISD, so he was an educator for 38 years. My mom ran a restaurant and some rental property, and I was the youngest of 5 children. My sister was an educator, so I just knew from a young age that I wanted to have the impact my dad had on his students, because I'd see them coming back and thanking him, and I'd see these deep, deep, authentic relationships that he'd have and the true love that he had. And I thought, in my life, I want to do something that has a profound impact.
Right.
I want to do something that means something. And I couldn't find anything more than, number one, to be like my dad, but number two, to go into the field of education, because when you start to think of what education really is, and the fact that we're dealing with people's most precious gifts from God. I mean, you think about the first time a parent hears their child's heartbeat, or the first time that a dad, the dads out there, the first time the doctor referred to you as dad, the first time you dropped your kid off at school or anywhere that you weren't. All of that kind of wrapped into my philosophy of wanting to do something special. And I was lucky. I just knew that from a very, very young age. So 28 years in the game. I was in a neighboring district for 26.
Wow.
And I'm here for a reason. Harlingen's a great place. So I was lucky. I did see this as a kid. I'm glad to be living my dream.
Up until this point, what has been your best day as an educator?
One of the things that really, as an educator, when you start to wrap your mind around, as I mentioned, the fact that when people drop off their kids, they're dropping off an individual that they love more than anything in the world. So when you wrap your mind around that as an educator, when you really put yourself in a position to truly understand that we're not just here to educate kids academically, but we're here to love them. We're here to nurture them. We're here to guide them. We're here to make sure that they're not only book smart, but that they're people smart and they're self smart. We're here to make sure that regardless of a kid, regardless of whether their dream is to start a business, join the military, get a license, a certificate, an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, whatever it is they want to do, we know that they have to read at a high level, they have to write at a high level, they have to communicate at a high level, they have to understand numbers. They have to have a high emotional quotient, and we're focusing on that. And they have to be unstoppable. So when you really think about that, for me, every day is the best day because I do something that I love. I do something, I'm one of the lucky ones. I do something that when I wake up in the morning, number one, I know I'm making a difference. When I go to bed at night and understand that I'm responsible to work with a team to make sure that 17,000 kids are in a position to reach their full potential, 3,000 employees are going to come in to work and make sure that happens. That's a big responsibility, but it's a beautiful responsibility. So I feel blessed. I'm honored. I am amped up and ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to get with this community and make it happen. HCISD has a long legacy of success, but just like any other organization, we can get better. So for me, every day, I can't think of one day to say, there are some days that just great things happen, but just the fact that I'm able to live my dream in Harlingen, Texas, in Harlingen CISD with a team, with a like-minded group of individuals, correct, just makes me feel this level of gratitude that is special.
Excellent, excellent. I also wanted to ask you as well, right now in education, it seems as if we're very much at a crossroads. I'm seeing a lot of educators that are leaving the field and school districts really struggling to find people to teach our kids. Has there ever been a time in your life where you ever felt like you wanted to quit, that you wanted to walk away from education? And if so, what kept you here? What made you stay?
There's some days that are more challenging than others. I think that for me, I had great teachers. I had great coaches. I'm a former athlete, so a big part of the reason that I'm sitting here is I had great coaches, great teachers, great administrators, great parents. So to say I wanted to walk away, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I've wanted to walk away. But I've been in many situations where I've had to dig deep in my heart and soul to make sure that I focused on being self-aware. We talk about the emotional quotient, really taking deep dives on self-awareness and really honing in on my strengths and weaknesses, really understanding self-regulation, as a type A type person that likes things a certain way, really just honing in on the art of being calm, the art of understanding that time takes care of most issues. And a lot of times I would find that I would be worrying about things that had already happened in the past, or I'd be worrying about things that hadn't even happened in the future. So really trying to stay in the present and not trying to get ahead of myself because my mind tends to race. So focusing on the self-regulation part of that, and then the motivation part, I think that when you look at it, we must have mechanisms to intrinsically motivate ourselves and not necessarily count on others. It's always nice to be inspired and motivated by others, but we have to have that knack for making sure that we know how to inspire ourselves. And I think that I was blessed with that. And then empathy and social skills, really trying to understand things from other people's perspective. So because I've been on this journey of raising my emotional quotient, because I've put myself in a position to be unstoppable, then I've never really wanted to walk away. I think that I turn challenges into power pellets. Tell me I can't do something and I will do it, or I will die trying. And I get that much more momentum because I know I'm doing it for people's kids. And where I come from, small town guy, if you're dropping your kid off at my school, I'm going to love them and protect them and educate them like they were mine. And I think that there's some power to that. So I may not know every kid as an individual because there's 17,000, but I can tell you if they're an HCISD student, they're mine. And I'm going to love them like they're mine. And I'm going to nurture them and I'm going to guide them and I'm going to discipline them. But at the end of the day, parents, you're dropping off children, but by the time they walk across that stage as seniors going into the world, you're going to be picking up young men and young women that understand the importance of respect and understand the importance of being self-aware and having a high emotional quotient and being academically inclined. And I think that's really the power when you look at, you put that much heart and soul into something, then things tend to work out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to ask you one more thing. What advice would you give to any new teacher that is coming into our district, or also to our veteran teachers that have been here for a while? What would be your greatest piece of advice that you would give to those groups?
I think to those groups, it's the same advice. It's to kind of not lose sight of what you got yourself into. Because I'm an educator, but I'm a dad. So you think about, even in the district now, my little one, his name is Joshua. He's in 4th grade. My little girl, Sammy, she's in 5th grade. My oldest, Joe Douglas, he's in 6th grade. And my wife's a dyslexia teacher. So it's a family affair for us. So I think that as a first-year teacher or a veteran teacher, you just can't lose sight of the fact that you're dealing with people's children. And you have to do all that you can to educate them, to guide them, to nurture them, to put them in a position to excel, and not lose sight of the fact that we're dealing with people's children. Because I think a lot of times we lose sight of the fact, or we lose focus, or we stop really honing in on how bad we wanted it before we had it, how bad we wanted that position. Like for me, I wanted this position bad, and now I have it. So I have to have that same sense of urgency. I can never get to a point where I feel like somebody owes me something, or I feel entitled, or I feel like life is going to just hand me things. I got to work for it. So that's the advice that I have for new teachers and veteran teachers is don't forget to stay hungry, and don't forget that you're dealing with people's children, and don't forget that we're in a position to find the genius in every child and change family trees for generations to come. It's a beautiful calling. And that's why I'm proud to be here. That's why I came to Harlingen CISD, because I brought my wife and my kids. We bought a house here. We're all in because Harlingen's a great place to raise a family. Harlingen CISD is a great place to educate children. So first-year teachers, veteran teachers, really all the employees, and quite frankly, everybody, moms, dads, uncles, aunts, grandmothers, grandfathers, community members, everybody in Harlingen. I think let's just all up our game. Let's do all we can to be better. So if you're a dad out there, be a better dad. If you're a mom, be the best mom you can be. Grandmother, grandfather, I think that's really what it's going to take. So the advice is just more than just the first-year teachers and veteran teachers. It's to everybody in this community, because it takes a village. And I commit to you that I'm going to bring my best game as a superintendent. But here's one thing that I can't forget. I have to remember it's not only about being a great superintendent. It's about being a great husband. It's about being a great father, because the better you do at home, the better you do at work, and vice versa. So that's the advice I not only have for first-year teachers and veteran teachers, but really everybody in the community and across the world. Just we gotta bring it.
I love that. It takes a village to raise a child. That's the difference. One last question for you. Who is your greatest hero? Who do you look up to?
My dad. Yeah. He's a good one, man. That question right there, just and that's where you can't lose sight of the power of parents, moms and dads, and the influences that we're having on our children is to be the best that you can be, and know that those kids are listening, those kids are watching. He's a great man, and he's 94 now. It's just it's a beautiful story, and I can't help but get emotional because, he put a lot into his life, and he got a lot out of it. So my dad for sure.
Wow, thank you so much. We are so excited about the adventure ahead. Okay, so there are some fun facts that some people from the community have asked me about you.
Okay.
And so I'm going to ask the questions. You don't have to answer, but I'm going to ask them.
If the community wants to know, I'll answer.
The community wants to know, what does JA stand for?
Okay, so I'm named after both of my grandfathers. On my father's side, his name was Joe Douglas, but officially Jose. So the J is for Jose. On my mother's side, her father's name was Antonio. So it's Jose Antonio, J.A. Gonzalez. So I've always gone by my initials. So it's odd, right? The only time I was called Jose Antonio is when my mom was mad at me when I was young. So I've been J.A. Gonzalez, and really just people call me Jay. I know that, a lot of times they'll say Jay Gonzalez, the attorney. I'm like, no, Jay Gonzalez, the superintendent. He's a good friend of mine, by the way.
Wow.
Former educator, great guy.
Wow. Neat. Okay. And then another question from the community is, who's better at fishing, you Or your wife.
You know, I taught my wife how to fish, and I would say me, but let me tell you where she edges me.
Okay.
The one thing with my wife is that I love bay fishing.
Okay.
She loves bay fishing, but she also loves deep sea fishing.
Oh.
So she'll go on deep sea expeditions by herself because I don't really enjoy deep sea fishing as much as she does. So just because she'll take me to school in the deep sea, I say she's better.
Oh, well, there you go. And that's the right answer. So, okay. So any other words of wisdom that you would like to give us?
I just think that as a community, we need to all come together and do what's best for our children. I think our students are hardworking groups of individuals. I think that if you look at how they work in the classroom and on the football field or on the volleyball court or really all the athletic programs, fine arts, CTE, everything that they do, I think our students are doing their part. We just have to come together as a community to be the best version of ourselves. I think that just challenging dads, challenging moms, grandmothers, grandfathers, challenging community members, business owners, everybody. I think that it's time that we just all up our game. You know?
Yes.
I think that that's something special. So I hope that you enjoyed the Super Talk. This is our first episode in HCISD, and the intent was to introduce myself to the community. I've had the chance to introduce myself to some members, but now my story is out to the world. So many more episodes to come. So please tune in. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you all.